And I ain't hit no drop in a minute. No, I'm about my business.
Rappers Guide Podcast, episode 12. This is your host, Diggy Metro.
Bills Pagliacci.
And we are live from Mellow Wave Studios in the Art Factory in Paterson, New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
Today's episode, we wanted to talk about mental health, being healthy in music, and moving correctly to have a long, sustainable career.
Yes.
So a lot of artists have this idea that like it's healthy to be in the studio all hours of the night and like, yo, work hard, no sleep. And I get it, right? I really do understand that idea. And I think that you have the right mentality as far as like, we got to work hard and we got to constantly be putting in effort. And that shit is dope. But like not at the detriment of your health, because there are artists who go on tour and they collapse from like sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
They collapse from being dehydrated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have it right next to me, but I always have a gallon on deck. Bales pulls up here with a big water jug every single time.
Like Green Lantern.
That shit's important. It's important to be hydrated. It's important to, because at the same time, like, yo, a lot of the time when people are really tired, they're just dehydrated as fuck.
And they don't have no idea.
Have no clue. Like I try to drink a gallon every single day just to keep energy and to also just keep clean. Like your body is your temple and that shit should matter to you. Another thing that people do a lot is they'll hit a studio and every single time they hit the studio, they got weed and liquor. And it's like,
I was about to say that too.
Yeah, that's not a sustainable lifestyle. Like you can't be moving like that for a long period of time. Otherwise your body is just going to deteriorate.
And now granted, I love me some weed. But for me to smoke it every time I have like go to a studio session or anything like that, after a while, you still got to realize there's still like a health risk involved in it all. And yes, we know Snoop Dogg's alive and he's well. A lot of people are.
Yeah, see, like weed is not as much of a problem to me. I would say more of the drinking. Like drinking as a whole. I mean, you wake up every day feeling like garbage. Bro, I used to be like a low-key alcoholic when I was like early 20s. I was drinking all the time, right? And I remember when I stopped drinking, I got a DUI and I stopped drinking entirely, right? And I remember waking up in the morning and feeling good.
Yeah.
And being like, what the fuck is this?
This is something different.
It was so weird to me that I was waking up and not having like a headache or like waking up and not feeling drowsy as fuck. You know what I mean? Like just the complete lifestyle change of waking up and feeling healthy was a different vibe for me. And I think that a lot of artists fall into that mentality. Like I still have artists who I used to work with back in the day, and I'll tell them to pull up to the studio, and they pull up and they have Hennessy, they have like whatever.
Oh, no.
And they're like, yo, you want some of this? And you know how I am. Like, bro, I have a coffee in my hand.
Yeah.
And like, that's my drug of choice now. Like that caffeine, that's the only thing I'm going to do. So like, if you work with me on a session, like you're going to see me drinking coffee and you're going to see me like alert and awake at all times.
It smells like coffee in here right now. He just made a batch.
I be brewing coffee. That's what I do. And I always offer artists coffee.
Yeah, he does.
You know? Because I just think like for that like sustained alertness and being awake, like I like that. When artists get too high and they come to a session, a lot of the time like they forget words or they have cotton mouth and it's just bad for the art.
I literally have not recorded any of my songs high. I haven't even, for the most part, I don't even write my songs high. Like I just kind of use it as like a way to relax at the end of the day or just go to sleep. Because I always found like when I did get high and I started recording, either I forget words or I'm like, I hate how my voice sounds because I have like, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm schizophrenic or something because I got the voice in my head and then I'm also rapping and I hate that, like that part within itself. And then you just get lazy and it's like, once I get high, I was like, I don't want to rap. I don't want to do anything.
That's a fact.
I just want to just sit there and
That's why
chill.
when artists try to pass me a blunt or a joint, obviously pre-COVID, I'm not playing that shit right now.
Oh, I'll be out
like,
wilding.
But yo, when artists try to pass me a joint, I'm like, I always tell them, yo, I'm working. Like you're here to enjoy yourself and you're here to record music and that's cool. But like to me, this is a job and it's a career. So like I wouldn't smoke at my job if I was working a 9 to 5. You know, I'm not gonna smoke here personally. That's just how I move. I'm not gonna get high because again, what you just said, I get super lazy.
Yeah, it's just like
every time I smoke, I want to sleep and I want to lay down on the couch and watch TV. Like I don't have any energy at all to be doing something creative or to be like working my ass off. So I can't even move like that. And another thing with smoking is that like Yo, you're doing something that you're about to use your vocal cords.
And that's just making it coughing, scratchy voice,
Right.
dry mouth,
Cotton mouth. Yeah, like everything bad that like when you're doing something that requires vocals, like I can't comprehend why you would think it's a good idea to put like smoke in your lungs and then like and
Unless you're Lil Wayne.
look, I mean, he sounds terrible.
He does sound terrible now. You know, speaking of that, when Gucci came out of jail and he was like going through his whole detox, whatever, I can enjoy his music more. I can hear him now. When Kodak, now that he's releasing music, I can actually hear what he's saying now. It's like, and for me, I could be wrong, but I think it's since they were locked up and they didn't have the drugs or whatever in an excessive amount, their music sounds more clear now. I can understand what's going on from a Southern artist.
Gucci definitely is very vocal about, like I read his whole autobiography and he's very vocal about the fact that him getting off drugs was a very good decision.
Best decision.
And he was able to like finally have clear thoughts and move different. So that's not just you hearing that. That's like a real thing. I don't know, man. I feel like part of this game is focus and part of this game is like having a clear understanding of what you're doing. And I think that when you're constantly getting fucked up, it's harder to judge what you're doing.
To gauge, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really like have concise thoughts and you can't be making the right moves. And truth be told, bro, like I used to get really fucked up to do shows.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at a show and there's like the person booking and you could have a full conversation with them
mm-hmm.
where you're not intoxicated, and sometimes they be getting busy too. Like they'll get intoxicated as well. I've done shows where like after my set, the person who booked the shit will be like, yo, let's do a shot. You killed that. Let's do a shot. That's cool. Just don't get overly intoxicated.
Yeah, because then that's going to become a problem.
Yeah, because if you're trying to handle business and you can't even have a conversation because you're slurring words and you just look foolish.
Goofy.
Yeah, you look foolish at the end of the day. And that's a young man's thing. And I understand if you're young and you're just getting into shows. Also, I drank a lot during shows because I have like horrible nerves when it comes to that.
I think we all do when it comes to performing.
I don't think everyone does.
Really? You think people just be jumping out there?
No. Some people are like nasty like that.
Man, I'll be sweating inside.
There are some people that like, bro, they don't have an ounce of nerves hit them.
That's wild.
I've seen the shit,
I love to be them.
And I love that shit when I watch an artist. But that just tells me that artist is built for that.
Yeah.
That
type of time.
Like shout out my guy Ra. Like every time someone sees this kid Ra perform, they're like, yo, he's made for that shit. Because he just moves different.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, he just moves different on mic when he's in front of a crowd. Where like me, I'm looking at every person. I think I'm just too intuitive. And I'm like,
I have the same
problem. I get too
too.
much in the moment where I'm like looking at people in their eyes and shit. And I'm like, damn, bro, like I don't want to fuck up right now.
The last time I was performing, it was a point. So what I try to do is like I try not to look directly at the crowd. I look through the crowd. But it was at one point where it was just like the setting was a little different. So I was like looking around. I was like, once I started looking around, I started getting in my head a little bit. And then I was like at a point for like 10 seconds, I was making eye contact directly with somebody. I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this right now, I don't think.
Have you ever seen that meme with Jack Nicholson where he's like,
yeah, with that fucking face, yeah.
Yo, I feel like every time I perform, there's one person in the crowd that's looking at me like that. And that shit makes my whole focus get thrown off.
You the fuck off.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, man, this person like really enjoying this shit. And like now I'm about to fuck up a line.
Yeah, that shit's funny as hell, bro.
But yeah, bro, like, I don't know. I just think that being sober in music is really beneficial. And I think people need to really like look into that because I know that it's kind of an industry built on getting fucked up, so like you feel like a rock star when you're the person who's getting drunk at your session, you're like getting drunk at your shows. And yeah, I get that shit.
It look cool.
It does look cool, but it's just not a sustainable career. I mean, there's artists who were like big lean sippers. Schoolboy Q has been vocal about him having like a lean problem. Danny Brown was vocal about him having a lean problem.
He was definitely on drugs.
And they both said that like they had to stop that shit. And once they did, they could think clearly.
It comes from a better place. That music it's something about, once again, it does intoxicate you, but it's just something like using your sober mind. Granted, some people feel like, sober me sucks. But it's like, have you been with sober you enough to really know that sober you sucks?
Have you met drunk you? He's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And the
You know what I
drunk
mean?
you
Like,
is horrible.
yeah.
I'm a horrible person when I really don't drink either.
I started to realize,
horrible.
well, specific drinks definitely make me fucking a wild boy.
Mhm.
Like vodka, I used to get into fist fights every day
Mhm.
when I would drink vodka. And for some reason, my young mind was not like, oh, vodka
Is the
and
problem.
fights are the reason. That's why it
There was
happened.
some other shit going on. It wasn't the vodka.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
I just didn't comprehend it. But like I started to recognize that. Now if I have a drink, I'll have like a whiskey
Mhm.
and I'll be straight with that. You know what I mean? Just like one drink calms me down. You know, I don't need to excessively drink.
Mhm.
Bro, people used to buy bottles with the intention of killing the entire bottle in one day. If you walk into a bar, they have bottles there.
Mhm.
They're there for months.
Yeah, why the hell are you gonna just
You're
down a
devouring
bottle
a
in one
bottle
day?
in one day, and that's the intention. Like, yo, let's go out and buy a bottle, and this shit will be empty within the next 2 hours. That's not normal, you know. And to bring it back to artists, like all that shit that we're putting in our bodies,
Mhm.
that's like it's reflected in the music. It's
Mhm.
reflected in your lifestyle.
Yep.
It's reflected in the way that you go about the industry. Because again, bro, like we treat this like it's a hobby and we treat this like it's fun. But in all reality, it's a career if you want it to be. So if you're constantly drinking on the job and you're constantly smoking on the job and you're just doing shit, and now smoking is legal, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But so is drinking. You know what I mean? It's just shit that will throw off your equilibrium, shit that throws off your fucking.
But shit, we just talking about drinking and smoking. Like, well, that's just like the casual stuff. Now we the popping pills
No,
and the
sometimes you gotta
lean
do
and
a
all
little
that shit.
cocaine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's wild. That's a wild studio session. That is a wild studio session. You know, back in the days, like in the 70s and the 80s, I'm not gonna lie. If I was in a studio session with like Earth, Wind and Fire or like Marvin Gaye or one of them, I'm gonna sniff a line of coke and I'm gonna enjoy the
Being someone
entire
who's
experience.
done cocaine before, I could completely comprehend why someone would do cocaine.
I'm gonna enjoy
during
that.
a late night session.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy that.
You know what I mean? I could understand why someone, and I'm not advertising this. I don't want kids to go and do cocaine because they're recording at 3 a.m.
Metro said it.
I'm just saying that if there's any drug, because that shit feels like fucking downing a Red Bull real quick.
I'll just give you that instant
That
spread energy.
jolt where you're like, I could fucking kill people right now.
Yeah, see, man,
Go
I don't,
fuck
I don't
up the
need none of
world
that.
right
I
now.
don't need none of that in my life, man.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I
Or
probably
kill
would've
my
done it.
goals. You know what I mean? Like, I could kill my fucking goals right now.
But like even within that, it's like now everybody's on a lean. It's like, bro, if you're gonna go to a studio, bro, and you fucking drinking something that's gonna put you down, that's like the complete opposite.
Right.
Like,
You're doing
you-
a downer. And,
yeah.
and with weed, like a lot of the time you're doing a downer.
Like if you go to the studio and you gonna go smoke, don't go with an indica. At least probably try to get a sativa in you. At least you're gonna be kind of like comprehensive, you know, kind of be able to move it around, you know, because these things, it's like
or mad paranoid looking at the engineer like,
yeah, what the fuck is he? What's he fucking doing?
what's he doing
Yeah.
over there with that fucking
So it's like-
spin wheel?
You got to be mindful of these things. Like even if like I said, I don't smoke. I don't do any of that stuff when it comes to creating. I just kind of like I may get high and I may get some ideas in the midst of me being high, but then I'll write that song in a sober mind because I still have to. I want to physically structure it in a certain way how I want it. I don't want it to just be all over the place. Like I said, none of my music has ever been written high. Some people probably think that if it's a song about smoking, like yes, I do smoke on a daily basis, but I cannot function fully if I am smoking. Some people can do it. I'm just not built like that. You know?
Right. I'm the same way. Beyond that, let's talk about going to the gym. Let's talk about, you know, just exercising in general, not necessarily going to a gym, but like just getting exercise in.
Exercise.
You know, that's important. A lot of this game is breath control. A lot of this game is when you're performing on a stage, if you want to be that guy who stands stable and doesn't move around, that's going to reflect poorly on your performance.
Yep.
So you have to be able to move around, and nothing is harder than being out of shape and moving back and forth on a stage while you're also
God.
using your breath constantly to rap. Like it's very hard.
Bro, the last performance that I did, it was a small setting, and it was just like it wasn't so much pressure because it wasn't like a big setting, but at the same time, I was just moving kind of left and right and kind of flapping my arms up and down. By the time I was done with my second song, I had to take my jacket off and I had to sit down on the fucking stool because I was like, I have gotten fat over this quarantine, and if I want to be able to perform at the level I want to be performing, like dance around with my music, I cannot be this heavy. I gotta work out. I gotta eat better because I was dying inside.
I did a show at the Blue Room in Secaucus, New Jersey. I came out fucking swinging, bro. Like jumping,
Mhm.
like jumping, fucking throwing my arms in the air and shit. By like track 3, I'm sitting on the speaker, like fucking rapping
That
like
shit always happens. You always sit down like, no, wait a minute. I cannot keep doing this shit. There's no way.
yeah, it's not possible. I mean, bro, you have to have the stamina of like a fucking Olympic boxer
Mm-hmm.
to really be able to like sustain for, especially like, yo, artists get used to doing like 15-minute sets.
Mm-hmm.
I've done 45-minute sets.
Oh my God.
I've done 30-minute sets pretty regularly at one point. So where like it's a different beast.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that
Going
right
for
now.
15, I'm cool with. Like that could be like 4 or 5 songs. Going for 30 to 45, you're
45?
talking about like 10 records, 15 records. That shit is not easy. And health has everything to do with that shit.
I got to throw at least like 5 or 6 slow tracks within that 30 minutes just so I could be able to, simmer shit down for a second. Like, hold on, let's just rock with these,
I used to have songs that were specifically made for shows. I didn't even put them out.
That's smart.
They were hype tracks that like if you came to a show, you would, and
Get
that
you
was
going.
the idea. The idea was you could only hear these records or this music if you
Live.
come to a live set. And those songs were fucking crazy at the time. I
That's
really
smart.
enjoyed them, but like, yeah, I had no intention of putting them out. And people would hit me up and be like, yo, where can I find those records? At my next show.
Marketing tool right there.
Yeah, at my next show, you could find them.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't recommend that, because that's money that's not being made off those records.
Yeah. That was
Unless-
that was back in the day you was doing that?
yeah. I was trying to be ahead of the curve, and I
And
don't
you know
think
how
that
that
was
goes.
the
Hey,
fucking
man,
way.
listen, the mindset was there. That's what's more important.
The business mind was definitely there with that.
Just need some, refining.
People just didn't give a fuck about coming to the next show. You know what I mean? Like,
there's
you,
that.
you think that you can hold that over people until it's like, I just don't want to come to the next show. I just
Yeah.
wanted to hear that track when I drive home.
But
know?
we was talking about the exercise. It's like, even like, let's take rapping out of it. Let's just talk about. I like to always look at stuff as just like a human being, because that's what we all are, right? You could tell a difference when you start exercising for like 3 or 4 days, because you know how we all do. I'm about to go back to the gym. You go out, you hit the gym hard 3, 4 days, 5 days. And I feel really good. I feel really good. And then as time goes on, you start weaning off of the gym. You're not going as frequently. And then if you're paying attention to it, you start noticing, I feel like shit. I don't feel as good as I did when I was working out. I don't feel, collectively like a whole right now. I feel like there's certain parts of me that is missing, is lacking. And then it's just like, you may go back into working out, but like a lot of times for us, it's like, we know what we need to do. It's just sometimes the hardest thing to do, especially when it comes working out. So just even on a human level, it's definitely difficult. But then on the artist level, it's like, you have to take that time to go vegetarian, go work out, not
Fuck
be.
being a vegetarian, though.
Yeah, I just said that because for some reason Young and May popped up in my
Dog,
head. So
chicken is just one of those things where like it's not, you know what I mean? I don't care.
I did it for a year though. It wasn't that bad. It was horrible. It was a horrible time. I'm not lying.
It was horrible. It was fucking horrible.
It was a horrible time. But
Nah.
I didn't feel even healthy after doing it. I think I was doing it wrong. But you know what I'm saying? Just trying to stay the best you can internally, because it helps you on the outside. It like exuberates confidence. It'll make you start doing different things. And once again, like, you hear like somebody like Biggie, and he used to rap and he was kind of fat, and like you can hear it in the fucking songs.
Bro,
sometimes.
people make excuses as to why they can't join a gym, whether it be money, as if fucking Planet Fitness is not $10 a month.
The bars outside
It
too.
could be I don't have time for the shit, yet they've watched every new Netflix movie.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a slew of excuses that not a single one is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not a single one holds any weight. Because
Just
you could
trying
be
to avoid
like,
the
yo,
shit.
didn't you just tell me that you bumped that whole new 21 Savage project?
Like,
why couldn't
21
you do
minutes,
that at
30
the
minutes?
gym?
Yeah. What was that, like 21,
What were
30
you
minutes?
doing during that time? I know you weren't working.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the gym and do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of artists make excuses, and sometimes they use music as an excuse. Like, yo, any extra time I have, I want to put into
I'll be in the
music.
studio all day. I don't have time to work out.
All right, how
I'm working
about
out these bars.
take one less hour off your studio time
Mhm.
and go to the fucking gym? If you went to the gym and then went to the studio after, the amount of energy that you're going to have is different.
That fucking work ethic gonna be different.
Because people think that when you go to the gym, you actually lose energy. That's not true.
You gain that shit.
You gain it. Like
And
when you go to the gym early morning
Yeah,
and
I
then
say that,
the
yeah.
rest of your day, you're alert, you're awake, your body feels great, you could breathe good. Like it's just different.
My man's been trying to get me to wake up at 4, like 5 in the
All right,
morning, to
no,
go to the gym.
no.
Nah, not that 4. Yeah, 4 was wild.
Nah,
he's like,
he's
yo,
bugging
let's get
the
there like
fuck out.
5 or 6. And I was like, yo, bro, like you got to be built different to kind of do that. But I be thinking about, let me just try it. I haven't done it yet because I don't think I'm gonna do it anytime soon. But it's like just the thought of it is like you're getting up at 5. He's like, yo, the rest of the day you got the day to yourself. You can do whatever you need to get done. And it kind of ties in when we was talking about, having to have a job while being able to like fund your career. It's kind of the same thing. You got to wake up a little bit earlier. You got to go to sleep a little bit later just so you can fit these things in because they're going to benefit you. But you don't want to go too far off the deep end where you're just exhausting yourself. Like, yo, I've been up for 3 days straight making beats, or I've been up for 3 days straight writing and recording. Like, bro, that shit's going to sound horrible if you've been up 3 days straight doing that.
You know what I think is important to note? It's not necessarily the amount of time that, okay, you're saying being up early, you have more of the day to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But for me, I'm up till 5 in the morning, right? I'll be working on studio shit up till 5 in the morning, but I sleep my 7 to 10 hours.
Still.
I wake up at around 12 and my day doesn't start until 6 or 7. But if I'm up till 5 in the morning, I'm still utilizing all that day.
It's still early morning, technically.
Right. I'm still utilizing that day. I think the important part is having more day to yourself, still being healthy and getting that sleep. Like if you were to wake up at 5 in the morning, that would require you to go to sleep at like 10 or 9. Yeah. And
I ain't doing that.
And that's not realistic for me, so I'd rather use that nighttime because truth be told, bro, like I'll be at the art factory and by the time I leave here, there's no one in the building. And that feels good to me knowing that while people are sleeping, I'm working. Same concept with waking up early. While people are sleeping till 9 or 8 and you already had 4 days or 4 hours in to your day, like, yeah, you're able to accomplish more in that time.
Anytime I send him a mix, probably at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or so, probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll have that mix the next day by like 4:30 in the morning, usually like 4:30, 5 sometimes. And it's like, I'll probably tell him something about the session and I probably won't hear back from you probably till like 12, 1 when you're just waking up. But it's just like, for you, that works and you're still able to get the work done. And it's like, it kind of works within my workflow too, because then I'm up kind of early and then I'm already hearing the song or whatever. And it still balances each other out. But it's like, once again, we figured out how to carve a certain time to get things done and how to maneuver in a certain way. And it's like, even like trying to get to work, even if you worked out like twice or 3 times a week, that's still better than nothing. That's still completely better.
3 times a week is perfectly fine.
And you're talking to a guy that didn't work out at least twice this week already. So I'm talking shit on this episode. And it's making me actually want to leave here and go work out. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
In good months, I'll work out 5 or 6 times a week. In good months. Like I'll be a savage with it. In bad months, I'll try to make it at least 3 times.
Yeah, because that's 30 minutes of exercise. It's not going to kill you. Because they say you only need like 30 minutes. And once again, I'm talking shit and I'm looking at myself in my head as I'm saying.
No, but I feel you. Yo, another thing, meditation.
Oh.
Like, I was one of those people who was like, I'm not doing that bullshit. And I started meditating and I just feel more aware and I feel more peaceful and I feel I'm in a better mind state.
Yes.
And I think that there's a lot of benefits for artists with meditation. And I know that it looks stupid and you feel stupid when you're listening to some like old lady be like, okay, pay attention to the breath in your legs and shit like that.
So but sensual.
Like, yeah. I had one meditation that she said, yeah, that's right. And I lost it, bro. Like I could not.
Any form of concentration.
It was gone. She goes, breathe. And she goes, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, all right, aggressive.
Hey, yo.
But meditation's important as well for artists. And honestly, bro, there's 5-minute meditations. There's 10-minute meditations. You don't have to take a long portion of your day to sit there and be namaste.
Yeah.
Like you could do it for 5 minutes and still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. All you're doing is breathing slowly, understanding where your breath is, and focusing on your breath. And that tool could be used throughout your day. If you get into a situation where like your heart rate's up and you're angry about something, if you focus on your breath and you take long, slow breaths, it'll calm you down.
And I was just telling you off camera, like I've been doing meditation now for 90 days for like 10 minutes, between 10 to 15 minutes. And it's like, number one, it feels like the universe has already just kind of opened itself up for me as far as like, everything's kind of working in my favor as far as career-wise goes, as far as reaching goals. And when things don't go the way I wanted to, it's less frustrating because there's a lot of angry rappers out here. I was one of them angry rappers, but now it's like I've had all this pressure has been alleviated off me. Every morning, what I try to do is I try to wake up. First thing I do is just sit on the floor and meditate for either 10 or 15 minutes and just sit there and focus on my breath and watch as these thoughts are popping up. And sometimes it's not even music related. Sometimes it's just like personal things that I'm probably possibly dealing with. And once I sat there for that 10 minutes, the rest of my day is just, I feel lifted. I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to attack everything. And, when I came out with my song Cutlass and I did like the whole meditation theme for the video, I thought at first it was like people are probably not going to like gravitate towards it. But it started like people kind of resonated with it because it was like, yo, this dude is just sitting here for a music video. And, I had those like air bubbles popping up of my thoughts as it does on a regular basis. But like, if you're not paying attention, like the video was slowly zooming in on my face. And it's like, those are the type of moments where like things are happening so fast in life sometimes that it could be the smallest changes that's happening. You're not paying attention to them. And the next thing you know, it's like, you're looking at my ugly face straight up in the front, but you was paying attention to everything that was going on the outside. And it's like the same thing with music. You can get so caught up in so much random things. I need to get the money, the streams, this, that, and the third.
But you need to center it.
You'll lose the main focus.
Right.
You need to build a fan base. You need to build a core. You need to really take this thing serious. It's not a game. It's not a hobby.
It's all about focusing and zooming in. I forget who said that. There was an important person that did a podcast, and they said that you need to zoom in. It might have even been Kanye that kept on saying you need to zoom in, and it's just the mentality that you have to go into creative art with. You have to zoom in to what's important. You have to zoom in to what you should be doing, and when you start to become a healthier musician, you start to become a healthier individual, all those things fall in line, and you're not pressured. And like, I think one of the biggest things I ever did, and I've talked about it on here, one of the biggest things I ever did with my music was I stopped caring what people thought.
Yep.
I don't even take people's critique anymore because it's just not beneficial to anything I'm doing. I'll take critique from an artist, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
If someone says, yo, I think that part, like on an unreleased record, yo, I think that you could change that part. Something's off about that part. Cool. I'll take that. But like, as far as worrying about what the outside world thinks about my music, because I carry myself as if I'm already a big artist.
Yeah, as you should.
As far as thought process goes, right? And I don't think for a second that Drake lays in his bed and goes, fuck, they hate that record.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I don't think that you should either. I think that you should understand that like this is all subjective. You could have made the greatest record of all time. It could be Bob Dylan-esque as far as writing goes. And still people could hate the shit.
Yep.
So like with that said, you have to just focus on what's important. Just make records that are important to you. Make records that sound good to you sonically and fucking just in general, and be healthy while you're doing that. Focus on what's important. Focus on your body, focus on your mind, and just make sure that you're in a good state while you're creating, because it's very easy in this game to fall out of that and become someone who forms unhealthy habits. And, it'll tire you out, and it'll actually like that exhaustion will cut your career short.
That'll make it worse. Like, this is probably like a wild example, but it just came up in my head. It's like, like when people just like have kids or whatever, like a newborn baby and the baby's constantly crying and you got to wake up in the middle of the night. I had told my girl before, like, yo, I'm gonna get a night nurse. And then she was like, I'm not gonna get no night nurse. I got to take care of the baby, da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I get you what you're saying. But it's like, in the midst of you waking up every night and constantly being tired and, not being able to catch up on sleep, you're not technically being a better mother, or you're not going to be fully the best mother you could possibly be because you're still tired. These things are going to weigh down on you because we just run on a biological clock. So within that, it's like you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You're getting your proper sleep. You're getting your proper nutrition. You're taking care of your health, because if not, the final product isn't always going to be the best thing, or you're not going to be your best self. Is what that whole thing was about. So I know it's weird that I went to like a whole kind of weird
understand.
route, but you know what I'm saying?
But last thing I want to say to people is that 7 to 10 hours of sleep is healthy. That's a healthy amount. That's what you should be getting. Don't take my word for it. I listened to a whole sleep podcast with Joe Rogan and a sleep specialist, and he said these words. You can't catch up on sleep. So for people that think, yo, I slept 4 hours tonight, but it's fine because I'll sleep all weekend, you can't get those hours back. They're
Nope.
gone. You know, your body doesn't process like that. And it's important to really like get those hours in. It's important to your mental state
Mhm.
when you get a full night's sleep. The next day you're able to attack shit because guess what? If you don't get those hours and you wake up the next day exhausted, everything you do from that point forward is going to be
That's
half-assed.
what I'm saying.
It's
It's
not going to
gonna
be
not be the
100%.
best.
And 100% is what you're aiming for in this business. That's the only way to go. So that's what I'm going to leave off on.
Yeah, and that's the same thing I would probably leave on too. Like, it's the small things that matter. It's not really like the grand scheme of things is, oh, I want to make it, I want to be famous, I want to get money, whatever the case may be. But the simple things are going to help you get there. Like the simple things that you don't pay attention to is what's going to make you reach those goals and reach all those dreams that you wanted to have. So, take care of your body, take care of yourself.
All right, guys. Rappers Got Podcast. We are signing out. This is Diggy Metro.
Bails Pagliacci, we
Peace
out.
out, guys.